Tonight on Prime Business, mixed reviews over the price of petroleum products beginning this weekend, as diesel is expected to go up by over 3%, whilst prices of petrol and LPG are expected to go down. Ahead, we'll hear from the LPG Marketers Association, which says this reduction cannot be sustained.
If you compare the reduction to the increment, it goes up more than what the reduction is. So definitely we are going to see a further increase in the price of LPG in the coming month.
So also Ghana Stock Exchange registered its first listing in 2 years as AntiGold lists shares on the main market.
It's important that we brought this benefit to our own country. That is why we look at this as a homecoming for us, because the company is an indigenous Ghanaian company.
Plus, number of attempted fraud cases in the banking industry reduced by 12% last year, but a significant number of banks are still involved in fraudulent activity. We'll get reaction from banking consultants and also a champion.
It is an encouraging report, and it conforms or follows a trend that we are seeing in complaints against banks. The same report that came from the Financial Stability Department.
All these stories and more coming shortly. To stay with us. Petrol prices are expected to witness some mixed reviews at the pumps from this weekend. Diesel is expected to go up by a little over 3% per litre. However, the price of petrol may witness one of its biggest reductions in recent times, going down by almost 8% per litre. This is based on data from the bulk oil distribution company cited by Joy Business. A kilogram of liquefied petroleum gas, also known as LPG, what we use in our kitchens, may go down by over 7%. The reduction in the price of petrol and LPG, we understand, has been influenced by some favorable development on the international market. Meanwhile, the LPG Marketers Association has revealed that the expected reduction in the price of commodity cannot be sustained considering current economic challenges. According to its Vice President, Gabriel Komi, though the price of LPG could reduce by some 30%, consumers should brace themselves for some fluctuation. He spoke earlier on the marketplace.
The reason why we are likely to see some reduction this coming weekend is that for the past 2 weeks, crude oil price has gone down. I think we went to as low as about $110 per barrel. And that is what is being used, that is what is being used to determine the prices that we are going to witness from this weekend. But as I indicated, unfortunately, prices have started going up again. So the current crude oil price will be used to determine the price for the next window. So the next window, we are likely to see another price rise in the price of LPG. So we are going to see this back and forth in terms of pricing for some time. The only unfortunate thing is that in terms of the reduction, if you compare the reduction to the increment, it goes up more than what the reduction is. So definitely we are going to see a further increase in the price of LPG in the coming month. But obviously, this is also something good for consumers. Reduction is reduction, no matter how small it is. It will save us some few cents.
Now, the Ghana Stock Exchange has registered its first listing on the main market since the last 2 years. The mineral resources firm AntiGold Corporation is floating about 350 million shares onto the market in Ghana after meeting all statutory requirements of the Securities and Exchange Commission as well as the Ghana Stock Exchange. Now, we have more in this report.
The Ghanaian Bears has not seen any listing in the past 2 years. According to AntiGold, the decision to list some 350 million shares was born out of calls by local investors to participate in the company due to its contribution to the country's revenue stream. Executive Vice President and Country Director for AntiGold Corporation, Frederick Atakuma, told Joy Business that the interest is to have Ghanaian investors benefit from the firm.
It was important that we brought this benefit to our own country. That is why we look at this as a homecoming for us, because the company is an indigenous Ghanaian company. Okay, and we think that if we are seeing this meteoric rise, the investment opportunity must be shared with the good people of Ghana. So we are not here to raise capital. That's not our interest at all. We just want to offer, the investment community in Ghana the opportunity to participate in this asset, given the growth trajectory we've set for ourselves and the ambition we have to become a tier 1 mining company, based in Ghana, but ultimately even spreading out into West Africa.
Managing Director for the Ghana Stock Exchange, Eko Afezi, has been explaining the impact of such listing on the market.
It's exciting. It's exciting because, one, it's a mining company with 47% Ghanaian holding. That's significant. And that is what, as a country, we should be looking out for. We should get Ghanaians to own part of the natural resources we have in this country. And that's the only way we can get the country to develop. And that is why this is very exciting. 47% of the company owned by Ghanaians, and that is great. And we encourage other companies, multinationals that are operating here, to join this company in terms of getting listed on the market. So indeed, it's an exciting day, and it adds to the number of listings we have. We now have 2 mining companies on the market, and we are hoping by their local content policy, we are able to encourage other mining companies to also get some Ghanaian shareholding.
AntiGold plans to conclude the acquisition of Chirano Gold Mines to support its efforts to become a tier 1 gold mining firm in West Africa.
Congratulations to them. Now, Ghana's rising debt is expected to be the major focus for any negotiations should the government agree to have a program with the International Monetary Fund. Now, this is what Joy Business has picked from persons with knowledge of ongoing discussions between the fund and Ghana. George Rafi has the rest.
Sources say the country's major problem now is debt sustainability. Therefore, any program should look at how to quickly deal with this challenge facing the country. Initial data shows that it may involve a lot of work, and that could result in cutting down on government's expenditure. We even understand that there could be the likelihood that some of government's flagship program may be frozen in order to contain this rising debt stock. Ghana's debt stock ended March this year stood at 392 billion Ghana cedis, and we are currently classified by the World Bank as high risk of debt distress country. But looking at the way things are going, it could take about 6 months or to a year for any program with Ghana to take off with the IMF. That is, if government makes that formal request today, and that should be followed by another one that is usually called a letter of intent that should be signed by the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, and Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. Sources say the program to stabilize the economy should be put forward by government, and the IMF will give its approval. That is to say, the program should be owned by the government of Ghana. But looking at the way things are going, negotiations would indeed be difficult, and one may not rule out any surprises in the last minute as to whether government will really want to go ahead with the program with the IMF.
Now, a report by the Bank of Ghana has revealed that a number of attempted fraud cases in the banking industry reduced by 12% in 2021. However, the year recorded a loss of 61 million as compared to a loss of 25 million in 2020. This represents a 144% increase in a year-on-year term. And according to the report, that banking, specialized deposit-taking institutions and electronic money issuers fraud, the significant fraud types that accounted for this figure includes automated teller machines, that's ATM machines, card and point of sale POS fraud, impersonation, lending and credit fraud, forgery and manipulation of documents, among others. Here's more in this report.
It is very good news to see that there's some 13% plus 12.9, so 13% reduction in the fraud cases in the banking and EMI sector. Now, the good thing is in the previous one, especially in cash suppression, which is where people make deposit and then, bankers were not passing them on, which had the biggest loss. Now it has reduced by as much as 22%. So that is very good news. However, with the advent of digitization, where everything, almost everything is going online, one would have thought that we would have stopped using checks. But if you look at the line for checks, you see that fraud in check fraud has increased by a whopping 606%, which is very worrisome. Although in absolute terms, you are moving from 16 check fraud to 113. So that is an increase of 606%, which is very high. Equally, there are some areas where the increases are. But yes, we commend the monitoring devices that the banks and EMIs have put in place to reduce especially cash suppression, fraudulent withdrawals, ATMs, and so on. So generally, it is an encouraging report, and it conforms or follows a trend that we are seeing in complaints against banks. The same report that came from the Financial Stability Department also saw that the number of complaints against banks has also decreased, and therefore it looks like the banking sector is now, getting better rather than worse. So we must pat ourselves on the back.
But you raised concern about check frauds, which yes, have seen an increase, and so I'm just wondering what is happening there. What is the problem there?
Okay. I think probably because everything is gone digital, we are taking our eyes off the check a little bit. But there are still some people in the system who continues to use check, especially they believe that the hard paper evidence is better than the soft copy evidence. But I think gradually they will realize that the hard copy is as good as the soft copy, but as well as you can even print it and keep it. So now that has seen a whooping 600% increase, I think attention will be drawn there to ensure that the monitoring devices are put in place to reduce that incident drastically.
And also concerning is that a significant number of bank staff are found to be involved in these fraudulent activities. I know this has come up before. Is it surprising that the banks haven't gotten a hold of this, that a number of their staff are doing this?
Yeah. Yes. In fact, as you rightly said, it's an issue that has come up over and over again. And if you look at the three triangles of fraud, you will see that one of them is the issue of the person who feels that there's an opportunity for fraudulent things. So in as much as the banks are doing all the checks on staff and ensuring that they don't do that, whatever you do, there will be some bad apple in the system. So the banks are up to the task in ensuring that they monitor staff very, very closely, both digitally and physically, to reduce this incidence of staff involvement in fraud. And I think the new method is also the naming and shaming. Previously, if it happened, they were keeping it under wraps in the hope that it may affect their reputation. But now it's come to a point where the banks, if you do it, they will name and shame you so that you stop doing it. And also, Bank of Ghana has this black book system where if you are sacked from a bank for any infraction, they keep your name in that book. And if you resurface in another bank or in another institution, they go through the book, and if your name is there, then forget about it. So all those checks are helping to clean up the system.
But is it the case that these are not punitive enough because it's not deterring them from going ahead to do so?
Well, if you allow me to digress a bit, we were told that the police were not paid enough. That's why they were taking money.
I remember that.
Their pay was increased, and the money taking is still going on, unfortunately. So, no, I think, joking apart, they do get recompense for the work that they do. And in my opinion, they are fairly recompensed. And so, but whatever you do with it, you always have some bad apples or bad nuts in the system. And we can only hope that they will be reduced. Yeah.
So essentially, it's not a matter of pay, but some greedy people.
No,
the Bank of Ghana introduced measures, for instance, fraud monitoring activities and enforcement of internal controls and risk governance within banks as some of the ways to check, address fraud.
Yeah.
What's your assessment of how that has gone? Has it been effective enough?
Yes, that has been very, very effective.
Away from that, management accountants have been charged to distinguish themselves by exhibiting high ethical standards in the performance of their duties. This is the only way customers or the public can continue to repose confidence in the profession. President and Chair of the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants, Paul Ash, made the call at a breakfast meeting hosted by the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants in Accra. There is more in this report.
The breakfast meeting, hosted by the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, CIMA, in Accra, was part of Paul Ash's 5-day tour of Africa to build relationships with members and students and also understand problems that confront members in Africa. Speaking on a theme, Dare Together, he indicated that, as very important players in organizations, it is incumbent on members to apply high moral standards at work.
I'm sorry to predict that we're in for a sustained period of economic unrest, of high inflation, high interest rates, and so on. But I'm absolutely confident that, our members, just as our members helped us get through the pandemic, and are helping us as well directly on the ground, which we believe in Eastern Europe, where we've taken in, our people from Ukraine, finding them employment, our staff members, of course, that also came across from Kiev. I'm absolutely confident that our members, who are at the heart of business, heart of government, heart of institutions working away, will help us navigate through all of these problems.
As part of efforts to help members in this regard, he said the association has launched an online ethics decision tool designed to help accountant professionals make ethically sound decisions in tough situations.
The white paper is all about the future of finance, really, and the breadth of our influence on things like integrated reporting, not just on the financial numbers, but also on sustainability. So it's really in the overall impacts, the wider impact that we can have on society, not just on businesses and organisations and the profit and loss account and balance sheet.
Members of the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants had the opportunity to interact with Paul Ash and Regional Vice President Tariro Mutizwa and other executives of CIMA after the event. Tariro says the institute will work closely with relevant stakeholders like the ICA to improve professionalism.
We are not competing for the shine. We want to work together, and we'll continue having meetings like today. We are having a meeting at ICAG, and to build those relations so that out there we're not seen as people who are fighting for shine. We do respect them. They are our regulator. They are the local body. We are here to collaborate and work together for the good of the finance profession.
That'll be for Prime Business, but I'll leave you with international business news, after which we have Prime Sports with Ureko Ampafo. Do stay with us.